6 years, Naliaka. 6 years I have watched you walk through this house as if it belongs to you. A wife is not a wife just because she wears the ring. Tell me, what will remain of you when you are gone from here? Mama, please, Naliaka said, tears coming down. My son cannot keep on with a barren woman. Naliaka turned to the door. Erick was standing there. He had heard everything, but he looked away. That was me several years ago. Stay with me and cry with me as I share my pain with you. I am Mama Koko, and that man at the door was my husband. I never knew there would be a day Erick would fail to defend me. Our marriage was beautiful at first. In the mornings he would kiss me and tell me he loved me. My mornings were full of smiles then. When we went out, he would hold my hand where people could see, lean in, call me his sweet name. My Choco, he would say, and kiss me on the cheek. You are a lucky woman, my friends would tell me. I believed them. But 3 years passed and no child came. Then 4, then 5, and a house that once felt like mine began to feel like something I was only borrowing. One afternoon, my mother-in-law came. We were sitting in the living room, sharing a glass of wine. She sat across us and said, I don't even know who the man of this house is. What do you mean, Mama? Erick asked. If for all these years you can't have a child, then your wife is just another man in the house. You should get a wife. I sat still. The blood dried in my veins. The wine sat in my mouth. I could not even swallow it. Mama, the doctor said we are okay, Erick said. When Naliaka's womb is ready, I will give her a child. I swallowed. When my womb is ready. Those words went through my heart like a machete cutting through soft grass. And for the first time in that house, my husband had joined in blaming me for our childlessness. I got up, walked to the room and closed the door behind me and let the tears fall on the floor. The next morning, those words were still sitting in my mind. Restless, I went to the garden, even though there was a man paid to tend it. Erick followed me there. Let us adopt, he said. Let us silence my mother's tongue. I wept. I thought God had finally answered me. My friend, I did not yet know what I was agreeing to. The first child came on a Tuesday. A boy, 13 years old, silent in a way that unsettled me. Not shy, not sad, careful, as if every word cost him something he was not willing to spend. His name was Kito. When the car door opened and I looked at him, something inside me said, this is the answer to my prayers. I loved him before he even stepped out of that car. My husband's face was beaming with joy. My love, this is my son, he said. I smiled, then laughed, then cried all at once. Then he turned to the boy. Kito, this is your Auntie Naliaka. Something in me went tight. He needed to introduce me as his mother, but I let it go. Nothing mattered in that moment, except that I finally had a son. I knelt to him, and he smiled, and I could not stop talking. We will go for sports in the morning, I told him, if you want to come. What about ice cream? Do you love ice cream? He only shook his head and smiled. No word. Kito was clean. He smelled expensive, an orphan wearing perfume most grown men could not afford, but it did not trouble me. I told myself I would simply buy him more. Some weeks after Kito came to us, Erick sat beside me one evening and said, Kito needs someone to be with. A child should not grow up alone in a house full of adults. I agreed. I had watched Kito wander the compound in his silence, and even I, filling his days with all the love I had, could see it was not enough. A boy needs another child's noise. I have been speaking with the orphanage, Erick said. There is a girl there, older. She could help look after him too while she settles. I did not ask many questions. I trusted him completely then. Whatever my husband decided, I believed it came from a good place. That afternoon, a car pulled into the compound. The door opened, and out stepped a girl of 18. Tall, beautiful in a way that made you look twice. Her hair was done, not simply combed, done. Her nails were shaped and painted, not one of them broken. Behind her, a maid stepped out too, carrying 2 suitcases the girl did not so much as glance at. An orphan, I thought, should not arrive like a bride. I said nothing. Grief wears strange clothes, I told myself. Perhaps this was hers. I stepped forward to embrace her. She let me, stiffly, her soft hands barely touching my back. "Thank you for taking me in," she said. Her name was Imani. Then her eyes moved past my shoulder to Kito, standing quietly by the door. Something passed between them. A look held 1 second too long. Kito's face, always so still, flickered just once with something I could not read. Then it was gone, and I told myself I had imagined it. My friend, they say a desperate woman may invite a snake into her house and call it a blessing before she ever sees its fangs. It was my old friend Wanjiru who came to visit that week. The same Wanjiru I had known since our girlhood, who could read my face before I had finished forming my own thoughts. She found Kito standing quietly by the door, the way he often stood, as if he had not yet decided whether he belonged inside or outside. "Who is this?" she asked me. "He is my son," I said, smiling. We went inside. Imani was seated in the living room. She looked up at Wanjiru, said nothing, and left the room without a word. I did not think much of it. I was too full of my own joy. I told Wanjiru everything. My son, my daughter, how they were settling in, how Kito was starting to call Erick Dad, how Imani would soon call me Mama. I was sure of it, given time. Wanjiru tilted her head. "And what does she call you now?" "Auntie," I said. Was all she said. We talked a while longer about smaller things until it was time for her to leave. At the door, she paused and turned back to me. "Naliaka, how much do you really know about your husband's past?" I laughed a little. I know that he loved me. She opened her mouth to say something and then stopped. "Wanjiru, what is the problem?" I asked. She looked at me for a long moment, then smiled, the same smile she always gave me when there was nothing good left to say, and let herself out. Wanjiru's words stayed with me longer than I let her see. But my friend, a heart that wants to believe will always find a way to talk itself out of doubt. It was around that time that I began going with the church women's group to visit a children's home on the edge of town. There was a girl there no older than 10 who sat apart from the other children each time we visited. She did not run to us for sweets the way the others did. She simply watched. I asked the matron about her. "Baraka," she told me. "She has been here 2 years. No one has come for her." I do not know how to explain it, my friend, except to say that something in me recognized something in her. I told Erick that evening, "I want to bring her home." He did not look up from his newspaper. "If that is what you want," he said. I brought Baraka home the following week myself. I signed the papers with my own hand. That first evening, at dinner, I watched my husband's eyes move around that table. He asked Kito about his day. He teased Imani about a dress she had bought. When his eyes reached Baraka, sitting small and careful in her chair, they simply moved past her, the way your eyes move past a chair no one is sitting in. "Blood remembers itself," Erick said quietly later that night when I asked him why he could not simply try. I did not understand him then. The next morning was a Saturday. Erick and the children were gathered in the living room watching television. Baraka stood at the edge of the room, near the corner, watching from a distance, as though she had not yet been told she was allowed to sit. I was in the kitchen. Through the doorway, I could see all of it. Kito leaning against his father's shoulder, Imani laughing at something on the screen, and Baraka, small and still, standing where no one had invited her to sit down. I stepped out and called to Imani. "Come and help me in the kitchen," I said. She did not even turn her whole body toward me. "Auntie, please," she said, eyes still on the screen. "I am watching TV with my dad." My dad. The words landed on me quietly, the way the first drop of rain lands before you understand the storm is already here. I looked at Erick. He did not correct her. He did not even seem to hear it as strange. His arm stayed around Kito's shoulder. His eyes stayed on the television as though his daughter had said nothing unusual at all. I turned back to the kitchen, my hands trembling slightly as I reached for a pot I no longer remembered why I had picked. Then I felt a small hand around my leg, timid at first, then holding tight. I looked down and saw Baraka. Tears stood in her eyes. "Mama," she said, just one word. No one had ever called me that, not like this, not from a child with tears after being looked past all morning. I went down on my knees and held her, and we cried together right there on the kitchen floor. When I finally looked at her face again, she was smiling, a smile I had never once seen in all my visits to that orphanage. Imani came in for a glass of water. She looked at me, then at Baraka, and said, "Auntie, why does your daughter behave like a witch? She stares at me like I have taken something from her." Something in me snapped. Before I had even crossed the kitchen, the tomatoes in my hand had already left it, and my palm found her cheek a moment after. Erick was in the room before I understood what I had done. "Leave my daughter alone," he said. My daughter. I froze completely. Then I picked Baraka up and carried her out of that kitchen without another word. We were in the bedroom, Baraka curled against me, when Kito came to the door. He stood there the way he always stood, as if unsure whether he belonged inside or outside. "Son," I said. I had to correct her. "That is not how to behave." He looked at me for a long moment. His mouth opened just slightly, and I have thought about that moment many times since, my friend, wondering what word was sitting behind his teeth. But he said nothing. He only nodded once and stepped back out of the doorway. It was less than 2 weeks later that the house began to change in ways I could feel before I could name. Erick was quieter than usual. Imani spent long hours in her room, on calls she ended the moment she heard my footsteps. Even Kito, who had always been still, seemed to carry a different kind of stillness now, the stillness of someone waiting for something to happen. Then, one evening, Erick's mother arrived without warning. She did not come alone. Erick's brothers came too, and they gathered in the living room the way a family gathers only for 2 reasons, a wedding or a funeral. I stood near the doorway with Baraka's hand in mine. Kito sat apart from everyone, his eyes on the floor, and Imani stood beside her grandmother, straight-backed, her face arranged into something I had never seen her wear before. Not sadness, not even anger, certainty. Mama Wanjala spoke fast, but softly this time, almost gently, which frightened me more than her sharpness ever had. "Naliaka," she said, "sit down." I did not sit. It was Imani who spoke next. "You have to go," she said. "You and the child you brought." I looked at her, waiting for the rest of the sentence to make sense to me. It did not. "Our mother is coming back," she said.
I turned to Erick. "Tell her this is not true," I said. "Tell your daughter she has spoken out of turn." Erick did not look away this time. My friend, that was the strangest part. After 2 years of looking away from me, he finally looked straight at me, and it was to say the words that broke me completely. They are my children, Naliaka, Kito, and Imani. Their mother is coming back. I am sorry. The room went silent in a way I have no words for even now. I looked at Kito. He did not lift his eyes from the floor. The tears came before I could stop them. Not loud, not a wail, just water finding its way down a face that had run out of strength to hold it back. Then I felt it, a small hand slipping into mine, holding on the way it had held on in that kitchen. Baraka looked up at me. And so, my children, I walked out of that gate with nothing but a suitcase and a little girl who was the only one who truly knew my heart. I thought I had lost everything, but I did not know that God was just clearing the ground for a new garden. There is more to tell you, about the woman who came back to take my place, about the daughter who sent me away, but not tonight, my friend. Tonight, let us sit with this pain a while longer. Come back to me soon. I will be waiting with the rest of my story.